Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today, we're going to be answering a question I got. What types of ships did the Navy deploy with nuclear weapons? And quite frankly, the answer will probably surprise you, and it led me down a really fun research rabbit hole. So we'll talk about some of that stuff in this video. So, growing up post-Cold War, I've only ever really thought about nuclear weapons as strategic weapons. And strategic nuclear weapons by the Navy are carried by the ballistic missile submarines, the SSBNs. And during my whole lifetime, that's been the Ohio class. Although they are starting construction on the Columbia class, which will replace them and remain in service into the 2080s. So I think of nuclear weapons from a strategic sense, which is the only way that they've been used in combat. However, the vast majority of nuclear weapons that were deployed during the Cold War were tactical weapons. So what did these weapons take the form of? They could be nuclear shells, like the Iowa-class battleships carried in the 50s. They could be missiles, surface-to-surface missiles, like the Tomahawk cruise missiles that the Iowas carried in the 80s. They could be bombs. Your typical supercarrier during the Cold War would carry about 100 nuclear bombs. They could be surface-to-air missiles. You don't like a massed Russian air attack coming in at you? Just nuke the sky. They could be nuclear torpedoes. You don't like Soviet submarines coming at you? Nuke the ocean. In fact, a 30-kiloton nuclear warhead can destroy a submarine that's a mile away. So, like, sonar's really early, Russian submarines are really quiet. A great tactical use, apparently, people thought of nuclear weapons was just nuke a patch of ocean and it'll take out all the submarines within a mile.
When was the last time you walked beneath a nearly 900-foot battleship without getting wet? Or stood next to an Iowa-class propeller 3 times taller than you? This spring, you can book a tour beneath the Battleship New Jersey, the largest, most decorated battleship in U.S. history, while she's in dry dock at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. Tens of thousands of gallons of water will be drained from the docks so you can see the hidden workings of one of our nation's all-time greatest military assets. Battleship New Jersey was first launched on December 7th, 1942. She epitomizes the awe-inspiring display of American naval power and the indomitable American spirit. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to support the work of the Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Visit battleshipnewjersey.org to book your tour today.
So long story short, somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 4 of the nuclear warheads in the United States arsenal was deployed at sea throughout most of the Cold War. And again, the vast majority of these were tactical weapons designed to be used in like a battlefield scenario as opposed to we're going to destroy something strategically important and deny it to the enemy, like the factories that are making things for the entire war. This continues up until the George H.W. Bush presidency, where he unilaterally pulls tactical nuclear warheads off of surface ships. This would be about 1992, and that is more or less the beginning of the plot of Under Siege. That is the real-life event that inspires the movie Under Siege, the documentary Under Siege. And then in 1994, President Clinton removes the capability of ships to carry nuclear warheads. So for example, the Tomahawk console here has the ability to fire a nuclear warhead. 92 would be the warheads are actually removed, those Tomahawks are removed. 94 would be this console is replaced with something that doesn't have that capability. And then some of these strategic weapons are still in the arsenal as recently as the Obama administration, and he finally has the last of those destroyed and declassifies a lot of the information about these tactical nuclear warheads, which is how we know that somewhere around 5,000 of these weapons were out there in the Navy during the 1980s. Thanks, Obama. The majority of these weapons would have been deployed in the Atlantic, with a smaller number in the Pacific. Russia is a continent-spanning country, so why are we deploying more on their Atlantic coast than their Pacific coast? Because they're tactical battlefield weapons. We intended to employ them in the defense of our NATO allies, which are in the Atlantic. Of the three major theaters, the Mediterranean had the fewest number of nukes deployed there. However, it's the smallest of the three bodies of water we've discussed, and really that is also for use on the European battlefield. Another random nuclear musing I've been having, the first tests that are performed with nuclear warheads after they're proven to work and then used in combat are the Bikini Atoll tests in 1946. One of my great uncles was there, believe it or not, on Whidbey Island. But why is the United States testing the effectiveness of nuclear weapons on a fleet of ships? They have the largest fleet in the world by like a really astronomical number. And then the next largest fleet in the world, the United Kingdom, our very close ally. The third largest fleet in the world in 1946, the Canadian Navy, an even closer ally. So who are we expecting to use these nuclear warheads on? We're hoping to use them instead of maintaining our own fleet. We knew that there was going to be a huge drawdown in the post-war Navy, and the question was, could we just get rid of the whole darn thing? And if anybody else tries to use a fleet, we just use aircraft to deliver a nuclear warhead to destroy those ships. So this really is the beginning of the concept of tactical uses versus strategic uses, like destroying a population center or an industrial capability. What kinds of ships actually carried nuclear warheads in the U.S. Navy? Whew, man. Just looking at the Tomahawks, there were something like 350 TLAM-Ns, the nuclear variant, out there, and they were distributed among 183 warships. So we've always heard that 2 of this ship's missiles were guarded by the Marines and the other 30 were not. And that sort of meshes here. 350 warheads divided by 183 ships is about 2 per ship. So that really jives with that number. And what ships are we talking about here? Obviously, I've already mentioned the aircraft carriers. Each carry about 100 bombs. We've talked about the ballistic missile submarines. We've talked about the battleships obviously carry them. But also cruisers, destroyers, frigates, ships as small as frigates are carrying nuclear warheads. Really, anything that has an anti-submarine rocket launcher or a vertical launch tube can carry those nuclear torpedoes for shooting at submarines. And it seems like many of them did. If there's 5,000 or 6,000 of these deployed at sea, that means that practically every ship has that capability, which I guess meets your requirement for it to be a deterrent. You cannot attack any American vessel because practically any American vessel has the ability to retaliate with nuclear weapons. I mentioned all of the surface warships that can carry these. Regular attack submarines, not even ballistic missile submarines, attack submarines can carry nuclear torpedoes or nuclear tomahawks. And even auxiliaries, the ships that resupply nuclear armed ships, carried nuclear warheads to resupply those ships with. So really, any U.S. ship out there carrying munitions had the potential of carrying nuclear warheads. And the vast majority of them were equipped to actually use them, like New Jersey with these consoles. And likely, given the number that the declassified documents say were deployed, it seems like they just about all did. So why is the U.S. Navy so squirrely about whether or not there were nuclear weapons on ships, and why did they ever take them off? That's going to be the subject of a future video, so stay tuned. So what do you think the wildest type of nuclear weapon deployed by the US Navy was? I'm kind of torn between big old nuclear artillery pieces and torpedoes that are launched at submarines. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State and also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below for more ways you can donate to support the channel. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about us and the museum. Thanks for watching.